Hi. Introduce yourself, please.
Who are you?
Who are you? I'm Nati, or it's a short of Natalia, and I'm originally from Argentina, and now I'm living here in Barcelona. That's the very, very short who I am.
I'm Rich, like Richard, from New Zealand. Met Nati over there, and then kind of caught the traveling bug from her, and went around the world a few times, and then decided that, yeah, there's something special about this place in Catalonia, and now we're putting our roots in here.
How was your youth? How has that shaped you into the person you are today?
I guess I grew up, in my youth, very youth. I lived in a small town outside the city, so it was the suburbs of Buenos Aires. And that meant that I played a lot in the street. I had a lot of nature around me. There were big trees that I could see from my window, and I played with the kids in the neighborhood and things like that. And I also had a lot of my family lived in the same region, so we have the big family gatherings on the weekends, getting together, and so on. And then as I got older, I moved to the city, and I was living in Buenos Aires in a tiny apartment in a city where I knew no one. I was there because I was studying, I was working, so it was a place to be. But it always felt off. It felt like that's not the right way to live. And I guess that pushed me to try to find alternatives. Like, what are other ways of doing things? What are other ways of living together? What are other ways of being a human? And that path took me to find about intentional communities and permaculture and things like that. So then I guess that once I started traveling when I was like 25, 26, I moved through a lot of different intentional communities and villages and projects and people doing this kind of, also looking for what are different ways of living together. What would it look like if we didn't have to live in a city, in an apartment, in a house? Rediscovering what it is, a village. Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the countryside. Most of New Zealand is countryside, so that's easy to do. On a farm, I really like doing the practical stuff, driving a tractor and shooting guns, and I'm a redneck, fundamentally. And I guess the distinctive thing about my childhood was growing up in this very old-fashioned religious community, and the experience growing up there and coming out of it, the bittersweetness of that, the sweetness being, I grew up with 50 aunties and uncles, and this extended family that weren't blood family, but they were they were community. They were all these families and all these houses that I could just wander from one place to the next and know that, there's this deep social fabric. There's this deep well of care. That's pretty awesome. I really think that's an enormous treasure and a privilege to have that abundance of connection in your life. And the bitter side is okay, the way that those religious communities work is by compressing people's diversity and difference into one unity. We've all got to basically see the world the same way. And that just doesn't sit with my character, who I am. I just can't really, I'm not a conformist. And so I couldn't tolerate living in that community, but leaving it, obviously I felt the, just the hunger for having good people around and feeling knowing that there's loads of different houses in the neighborhood that I can wander into, that living without that sucks. You were describing about being in the apartment building and not really knowing anyone around. It's just not a good habitat to be a person, And so I think that bittersweet experience is really shaped a lot of what I've done since then. Is trying to can we weave really nourishing social fabric without forcing everyone to conform to some boring, well, not even boring, but just static, unified identity. Can we still be different? Can we still have our freedom? and be in connection with each other and be collaborative and be supportive.
Okay. So different childhoods, but kind of like the same values underneath, which is really nice. How in meeting each other traveling, how did that go from then something that you kind of wanted for yourselves to live in community into a greater mission?
So we met during the Occupy movement when it spread from New York outside to the world, and all these different camps pop up. And I was in New Zealand already, and I was following up what was happening with the Indignados and movement here, with the things going on with the Arab Spring. And I joined the camp in Wellington in October 15th. Was it?
Yeah. October 15th, 2011. You know, 2011 was the Time magazine Person of the Year was the protester, right? It's like this year of pro-democracy taking off everywhere.
Yeah. So we met there. We met at camp. So we already met through this, things are wrong in the world. We believe that something different could be possible. And I think that kind of brought us together, the experience in the camp. And then, do you want to talk about Lumio and starting all that path?
Yeah, I think the aspect of Occupy that stays with me is the feeling that there are these like profound challenges facing society, and I don't have any confidence in the people in charge to be able to weather them skillfully. And so, well, I guess we need to roll up our sleeves and take it on for ourselves. Like, we need to figure out how to live well in the future. And so the Lumio story is like one little offshoot from that experience of like, Lumio is a software platform that we built for group decision making. Like, can we just help groups be more collaborative in the way that they organize and the way that they make decisions? And that was a exciting project for a few years, you know, for me, to be building up this company and to be building up this software platform that, has helped many thousands of groups around the world to be more inclusive in the way that they do their governance. But also software is a very narrow slice of the world. You know, what you can solve by putting the right button in the right place, or the kind of user experience design can only kind of get you so far. I felt like I had an appetite for something deeper, like that gets more into the fullness of a human being and the fullness of our relationships, and like how collaborating is difficult, how relating is difficult. Like, I got interested in questions that couldn't be solved by technology, I guess.
I was already interested in those questions, and I was like, technology, guys, come on. You're going to try to solve everything with technology?
I was a bit of a slow learner.
But I joined them anyway. So after a year, I think, of you guys having Lumio, it was a few people from the camp that decided to start this platform. And I think what was more interesting to me is that they were trying to do it. It was not just about the software, but how they were organizing as a group. It was a workaround co-op in New Zealand at the time, where that wasn't much of a thing.
So literally the only workaround co-op in New Zealand at the time.
And it was connected to this group called Inspiral, that there was all these really interesting people trying to figure it out. Okay, how do we work in a different way? How can we do things that are more human-centered, where we make decisions together, where we're all more or less equals? What does it look like? And we also try to be efficient, and we also try to do something good in the world. And that was quite appealing to me at the time. I was like, well, I kind of figured out that there is different ways of living together, but still work was a piece that it was like, oh, work is traditional. Work, you have to go and work for someone, or you have to do it yourself. So I think that's how I joined Lumio. And for a while, what was really interesting to us and why people will start coming to ask questions was, you guys are doing something in a different way. How do you do it, right? We had groups using the platform to make decisions, but maybe they didn't know how to make decisions together. So then they'll come and start asking questions. And soon enough, you were being invited to a lot of conferences around the world to talk about Lumio and how we organize. And you were getting a little fed up being in New Zealand and a little bit burnout on work.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's just go to all those conferences
Yeah.
and let's enjoy also time in the world and experience other things, because you hadn't traveled much by then.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny period, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially, like I got invited to advise the mayor of Seoul in South Korea on their democracy strategy for the city, you know, like one of the biggest cities in the world. And what he's looking for and what the newspapers are looking for is, oh, we've got this high-tech solution, and if you use this app, everyone's going to be on equal footing, and then you're going to have a great democracy. And it's like, obviously the actual answer is much more contingent than that. Like, it's much more complex than that. It's like embedded in real power relationships and like the inertia of power. And so the advice I gave him was like, well, how does your office run? You know, like, I'm sitting in this room with like 30 people. How empowered are they? Like, can we operate this in a more democratic way? Which, you know, didn't go down very well. But I guess that's been my perspective on like, how do we have, like, how do we get towards that future that I want to live in? It starts with like small groups, basically. It starts with people being in good relationship with each other and learning how to get along, like how to share power in a creative way. It starts at that small scale. I don't really believe in this like big top-down vision of we're going to change everything. And yeah, it's like, let's prove the case at a small scale that we know how to work. How do we create these like wholesome groups?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my my engineering training taught me to always think in terms of big picture systems, but it doesn't feel credible to me to like make any propositions about how we know how the world should be different unless we can prove at the scale of 10 people or 30 people or 300 people, like, this is a prototype of something that works really well and that should be spread.
Yeah. So I guess that out of these desires of looking at how do we work differently, what does it look like, what are these new systems that we can put in place, how can we support people to be good collaborators as well. That's how we started traveling with the HAM. We set up this company called the HAM, and we started to do all these different trainings around the world. A lot of that was in Europe. The more we came to Europe, the more we were being called to work here with clients. In 2019, we decided we'll move to Europe. I had a Italian passport, and that made it easy. So we came to Europe just before pandemic hit. So before that, we were traveling all around Europe, doing things every month in a different city kind of thing. And we had a small apartment in this coastal village in Italy that was mostly like a holiday place for Italians. And I was like, well, this is a great place as a base. We're going to be moving so much.
Where we leave our stuff. That was how we thought about it.
We leave our stuff. We can enjoy nice time by the beach when we're not working. And then pandemic hit, and we were stuck in this little village where we knew no one. My Italian was very patchy. His Italian was zero. No one really spoke English, apart from one person that's still our friend. And yeah, there was like that moment of pandemic where basically it pinged to me, like, why, wait a minute, like, how did we got from I wanted to live in community to us living alone in this village, in this tiny apartment? Like, what happened along the way?
With no sun.
With no sun inside the house. Yeah, so how did we got here, and what are we doing next?
Yeah.
So that's when I reached out to a few people that I had met through my years that we had talked about, oh, wouldn't it be great if we got land together and we lived in community? And we started to have conversations through pandemic and lockdown about what would it look like. And by then we were renting venues all the time from other people to do our trainings or to do our retreats for teams. So the idea was, can we have our own venue where maybe we have little houses in the land, we have different people, and we have a venue that we can all use as a center. It could be the community center, and we can use it to run things and to generate some income for the community. That's how the idea of Casa Tilo came to be. Then things started to change. Some of the people that were involved at the beginning, they were not involved anymore. We had other couple as well that came with us to Catalonia. we did a prototype in Malaga where was it 3 months?
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, we lived there for 3 months. Do you want to tell a bit that story?
Yeah, the Malaga story, that's the house was called El Mendrillo, the almond tree. Amazing trees in that property. What was it, like 10 bedrooms, 9 bedrooms? We had it for 3 months, and before we arrived, we'd sort of like planned out a whole calendar of events. I think we did 5 events there in the end.
Yeah.
And just had the time of our lives, essentially. Like, amazing house on this, on the top edge of this mountain with a beautiful big valley and then another mountain range out in the distance. Like, incredible 270-degree view, beautiful, like sunrise to sunset all day, bright and sunny all the way through the winter. We were down there in the wintertime. And the events that we ran there were all extremely popular. We had like 97% occupancy. I think we like basically filled everything up.
Yeah.
And we had a great time hosting. We had a great time doing the events. Like, some of the events were very, what we think of as community gatherings. So really just about bringing people together. And then some of them were more, had a bit more of a sharp edge. You know, we did a leadership training for people that are running NGOs. And like, that's like a more hard work confrontational, like we're going to get into the hard work together. We had a like spectrum of different activities happening there.
Some parties.
Yeah, we had some great parties with our friends from the internet. And it was a lot of fun. It was very satisfying work, and we made an okay profit out of it. It was like, okay, the economics works out. And so that 3-month trial really gave us a lot of confidence of like, okay, we can. I think the way we like to work is to make a prototype and then iterate and do the next thing a little bit more ambitious, and the next thing and the next thing. And so, yeah, for us, the next step was to come up here to Catalonia, partly because, you know, Andalusia, it's awesome, but it's also very far away from a lot of our friends in Western Europe.
And very hot.
It's kind of unbearable. It's unbearable in the summer to be there. Whereas here in Catalonia, you're at a bit more of a sweet spot in the climate, and it's a lot closer to. It's accessible for our friends that only travel by train, for example, in a way that the south of Spain is not.
Mm-hmm. And also we know people already in the region, so we have a bit of a community. We have friends that live basically around the corner in another village. We have other friends that live in Cardedeu, that is not so far from here. We have friends in the city because there's a lot of expats as well in Barcelona. And there's something about Catalonia as well. There's something about the culture here that is like there's a proudness of their land and their culture. And it seems to me, at least, that they're very active people. There's a lot of really interesting projects and people like quite into doing things together. So there was something as well that called us onto that. I guess a little bit of an activist vibe to it that is still in our backgrounds. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's the pride of place in that sense of, I mean, the boring word for it is active citizenship. You know, people taking responsibility for where they live and making it great. Mm-hmm. And the stewardship of the land as well. Mm-hmm. Like, the reason we're in this place is because we're in a national park that's like 15,000 hectares of forest, and I don't know if you can hear it in the background with these microphones, but just like millions and millions and millions of birds.
I think they might be hearing also the lawnmower from our neighbors.
Yeah. And the deer and the badgers and the wild boar and the owls and the, you know, like there's a lot of life out there, and not a lot of air conditioning machines and engines and scooters and human noises. And so that is like an incredible asset as well. It's part of the reason we're here is because I think a lot of people don't realize that as soon as you step outside the city limits of Barcelona, you're in this like incredible natural landscape that's kind of beyond just the beaches. People kind of know about the beaches, but
the forests
and the mountains are amazing around here.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we're going places, so bring us back, Kelly.
It's cool. Any particular challenge, like I guess highs and lows of finding this point, and then how do you start? Because 3 months is cool because you've got your borders and you know it's fine, and you can budget and you know how much you're going to spend in those 3 months, but you've got a longer lease here and bigger plans.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to be honest about the challenge of operating a venue of this size and like making it work financially and making it sustainable in terms of how much energy we're putting in, how much of our time we're putting in. To get started, we it's quite beautiful actually. Like I am pretty active on Twitter, and there's like people are surprised to know there's like actually some awesome community building happening on Twitter. Like there's a really interesting network of people that we've been meeting there over the years. And I put out a tweet at the end of December in 2024 that said, me and Nati are ready. Like we want to do the next step. We want to rent a big venue outside of Barcelona, and it's going to cost us at least 50 grand to get started. Can we borrow that money from the community? And literally within 12 hours of posting that message saying I need to borrow 50 grand, please, we had it done. Like in the end, it was 10 people that stepped up with 5 grand each to say, yeah, take it and run. Like, so that was like an amazing kind of validation that people could recognize that we've got some role to play in creating a space for people. And that covered the rent for the first year. You know, it's like twice as expensive to run a place in the north of Spain compared to the south of Spain. This place is bigger. It's 26 beds and 11 bedrooms. It's a 600 square meter house, so that's like a big space. This house like took a lot of work to just bring it up to scratch as well. Like it was quite run down, and we've done a lot of buying furniture and painting things, and you know, there's a lot of practical labor to get it up and running.
Yeah, we had to do a lot of setup, a lot more than we had anticipated,
Yeah.
right? Like the house that we rented in Malaga was ready to go, right? It was a beautiful Airbnb type of thing that they rented, these people. So we didn't have to put any effort or any money to start.
Or even
it.
like creative direction or anything was already done.
It's already, yeah, more than moving some furniture around, we didn't. So with this was a lot. We spent basically the first month here just nonstop doing work in the place. And by the time we opened, it was okay, but it's still taking, right? It's been now a year and so.
15 months since we got
15 months, and there's still things that need doing and maintenance and fixing stuff.
Nati
and
was fixing this
improving
couch before we hit record. You know, she's got
I
the
was
spanners
fixing
out.
this couch, yes. I think when we started, we were a lot more optimistic. We were like, oh, Malaga went great. It's just going to be even better because we have more time. And we didn't anticipate it, not all of us maybe, how difficult it might be in terms of finances, but energy. Also, we moved in with another couple, and that didn't work out in the end. So yeah, the challenges of living together in the same space, of having differences in power dynamics, of having differences in expectation, or
And the blurry line between being friends and being co-workers.
yeah, it's complicated.
Complicated for us.
So I think there's been a lot of challenges along the way. I think the two main ones, one is the finances. This is still not financially sustainable. Well, definitely improving, and for being, you know, the starting of the second year of a business that we just started, it's actually doing pretty well. But, you know, that's still challenging. And I think the second challenge is how much energy, like you were naming it before, right? Like how much energy it requires to run something like this. And so far, it's been the two of us mostly doing everything. And we started slowly to bring a few new people, a bit more support to help us run this. I think the other challenge is living in a place that is also a venue. So it's also our house, and you know, it's like that thing of there's always people in my house, there's always things going on that can be challenging, at least for me as an introvert. I think you love it, but the more the merrier for you. But I need time to be like on my own, do nothing, walk around in underwear, whatever I want, right? Leave the kitchen being a mess if I want to. So those kind of things, we're still figuring it out. I think the ideal will be there's a venue and then there's a smaller little place. I guess another thing is being processes, and we've been improving the processes and how we do things in the house. We already have processes for how we hold groups and community, and that's what we're strong at. But how to hold a house, that's a new thing. So we are slowly improving. We have our friend Pat that lives in Berlin that made us this great menu that is super easy with recipes. So we have all these recipes we can give to people when they come, and we're doing together cooking.
Yeah, the food thing is a good example where, like, at the start, it's a lot of effort and not very good results. And then getting the right kind of help to design the menu and think about what are recipes that are really delicious but also easy to make for someone who's not an expert. And now we can throw a recipe at just about anyone who's part of the co-living experience and say, like, this is what's needed. And they produce really good food that people love, and it's not difficult. It's like, oh, this is actually a thriving part of the operation now, instead of it being this drag. And we kind of have to go around every part of the system and iterate and improve the design until it's thriving.
So that's an interesting balance between your space, your house, everything your way with the two of you, to event space where you're hosting and people come, but still your rules, you doing everything. And then you've got co-living where it's kind of shared for those spaces. So how do you balance the three? And especially as an introvert who needs your own space, how do you jump between them and manage that kind of transition?
Yeah, so at least the flow that we're also doing this year of the house and how we organize the time is in main season, that is pretty much from April till end of October or November. And that's when there's events, and events are either trainings that we are running ourselves or that other people are running, or community gatherings from our multiple communities or other people as well. Or other people in our network holding their own trainings. And we also do team retreats. So a team, most of them that work remote, all of our clients from the ham, they come into the house, they spend the week here, and we facilitate for them, maybe their yearly planning or setting up a strategy or improving their culture, whatever it is that they're looking for that year. So that happens. And then from pretty much end of November to February, March, that's going to be co-living months, where anyone is welcome to join. They can start from 1 week till, 1 or 2 months. And in that co-living time, we're all sharing the space. We're sharing the responsibilities of hosting and doing things in the house. This year, we're going to try something a little bit different. That is, there's going to be themes or topics to those weeks. In January, we're already planning this solopreneur time. So people that are working by themselves, they can come here. There's going to be a few coaches, people that know about marketing, people that know about finances, and we're going to support each other. So how do you improve and how do you hold a business when it's just you? And then our friend Marai Christensen, that she ran already some circling retreats. Circling is a specific modality for those that don't know it. And she's also talking about doing, maybe there's 2 weeks that is, the focus will be on circling. So the idea is we're living together, everyone's doing their own work at their own time when you have responsibilities and have to do things online. But every day there's going to be a few hours where we drop in together and we have some practices or some shared skills or some time to support each other on challenges and so on. So that's kind of the mode that we're going for. This is still an experiment, so we'll see.
Yeah, we're trying lots of different things. It probably makes it a little complicated to understand from the outside, because it's like every month it's a kind of a different venue for a different kind of activity, and we're settling in to find, like, what are the modes that work really well for us and for everyone else. How much time off do we need? Like, how much privacy do we need? Those sort of questions. We're like working that out.
Yeah, I basically block some time in the calendar between events. You see, our calendar is a spreadsheet, and it has blocks where the little squares are gray. That means Natty is putting time when there's no one in the house.
It's walking around in our underwear day.
Doesn't usually work so well.
I'm learning.
Because Richard keeps inviting people, but
Yeah. I mean, my idea of the good life, right, is loads of people around. And it doesn't have to be even interacting with loads of people. I might be reading my book by the pool, but just knowing that there's these little pockets of activity in the house, like, that's where I'm at my happy place. So I'm always inviting people. I'm learning I need to be a bit more protective of your boundaries and like have a bit more privacy installed as well.
Yeah. You also get a little bit overloaded. I think you forget about it every time because you actually
Yeah.
have this thing in your mind that you like having people.
Yeah.
But then after a while, you're like hiding in our room because it's too much.
Yeah. I do need time by myself in my studio, not having any sense of being observed or that anyone's going to have questions of me or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think though, even the fact that we're sitting here recording the first episode of this new podcast, having the time in the day to relax and to think about the big picture, it's sort of symptomatic of us changing phase or like going to the next chapter. So like the first chapter I think was all about the challenge. It was just like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. This is really expensive. This is really time consuming. This is like a lot bigger. I thought it was going to be a lot easier. Gosh, like that was the first chapter. And things have started to change in the last couple of months where we're looking a bit more calm, a bit more settled, a bit more confident. Like, okay, I think we've started to make the changes necessary that this is going to be sustainable in the long term, and we can be a bit more relaxed. You know, like the fact that we're thinking about a program from December to March that you just described with these different focuses for the co-living, like we're starting to extend our view into the future a lot more, and have a little bit less like running around with our heads on fire and a bit more like we can think strategically. So like that we've turned the corner, I think, on feeling a bit more like, oh yeah, this is, I mean, we've been planting flowers in the garden, you know, like taking on a bit more of a long-term perspective on, yeah, we're going to be here for a while and let's make it good and let's make it sustainable.
So maybe that's interesting to share as well. We didn't buy this place, right? We're still renting. So in a way, this is our next prototype after the house in Malaga is what does it look like if we are here for a year or two or three, you know? So we're extending every year. We extend it a little bit more. The big picture dream is if we actually make it work financially and also for us as a lifestyle, then the next thing will be to buy a place where it's actually ours, right? The other day we went out to eat somewhere outside of the house, like rarely happens, but it was fun. And we were sitting there chatting, being like, if this place was us, what would we do differently?
Yeah.
Like what changes will we do to the building, right? How will we make it better?
Yeah.
And that was really exciting to think
imagine.
about, you know, having our own place that we could build a new bedroom if we want, or we can extend it and make a sauna or whatever it is. So it's fun to imagine, and it will require so much more as well. But
And
I think we're learning a lot out of this experience.
And I want to say as well that the big picture is not just us getting a venue that we're really satisfied with and getting it to make it our own. It's more of an institution and a center of gravity that attracts people to a neighborhood. Like really that's, maybe I'm slightly megalomaniac, but I'm excited about the neighborhood. Like we've got loads of friends. And this is, you know, this really became a meme, I think, after the pandemic of people saying like, I want to live in the countryside and I want to live around my friends. And actually it's really hard to pull that off. Like,
Wait. So this is what happens over centuries. People lived in villages.
Yeah.
We're just reinventing the village.
Yeah.
The village existed. It exists, right? We are in a village right now.
Yeah.
So it's more about how can we get our friends to move next door.
I think if you've spent multiple generations learning how to be individualistic, learning how to live in these tiny apartments,
Yes.
traveling for work all the time, like constantly breaking the most important relationships in your life, like being these hyper mobile, virtual people, like the transition from that to can we kickstart a new neighborhood?
Yeah, village
That's
2.0.
actually like requires quite a lot of skills development and a lot of patience. And like, that's what I mean. It's hard. Like I know it is wired into us as our kind of cultural inheritance that we all grew up in villages, at least a generation or two back. But that transition, like there's been a lot of people talking about it and not that many people following through. And so I hope we've got a sophisticated strategy to get there, which is we're building a center of gravity that has a business model, that has a reason to employ people, that has a reason for people to come, like lots of people to come through the door. And that some of the people that are much more close to us, like some really close friends, they're thinking, oh, we want to be having kids in the next couple of years. Where do we want to live? Like, I see that the next step of Casa Tilo is like, we've got this stable venue and a place of employment and a place that attracts interesting people. And in the neighborhood, there's all of these characters living nearby.
And different projects too, right?
Not that I don't imagine that there's like a sort of formal organization that these people are within a boundary and they're all making decisions together, but more informally that people just, because of shared values and affinity, they want to live close to each other, and they're like that they're kind of like I described about my childhood, you know, like having 50 aunties and uncles, that you have this sense of
mine.
like there's loads of people that know each other and care about each other and want to help each other out. Like then you need to have the collaboration right, you need to have the leadership right, you need to have the values aligned, you need to have like the economics needs to work out. Like there's lots of different components to get right to pull that off, and I feel like that's why we're on this like long, slow, iterative development to get to that big picture.
Yeah. I guess that maybe it's interesting as well to talk about the other picture. It's not just about living in a neighborhood. Like, why do we run events here? And it's not just random events. It's not like weddings and, you know, festivals all the time. Like, there is something about us believing in people learning together and improving as a society. So how do we become the best version of ourselves, right? And I'm still growing, and I'm going to keep developing through my whole life. We do believe that humans keep developing after the age of 18 or 20. We believe in theories of adult development. And you were talking about all these skills that are required to live in this different way. We're talking about, well, there's a different way that is possible. But who do we need to be as individuals to be able to do that?
Yeah.
I'm still learning, and I have tons of challenges to overcome when it comes to that. And I think it's, at least for me, I'm interested in having a space where people can come and learn those skills, and we can teach each other and we can help each other through that process of learning and growth.
Which skills?
How to communicate better, how to have a nervous system that is settled, and how to co-regulate, how to, I don't know, also how to do practical stuff, right? We have friends that come and it's like, not going to name names, but I do have friends that have said that they feel a bit ashamed because they don't know how to do practical things. Like, how do you cook? How do you clean? How do you build a shelter?
We built this furniture that we're
How
sitting
do
on.
you
know?
build this couch that you're sitting with? How do you cut wood?
How do you maintain a swimming pool?
Yeah.
There's practical things.
Practical skills, right, of being a human. How to build your clothes and things like that. So I think there's, from those aspects to, what does it look like as well to hold multiple perspectives and to sit with people that are very different than you and to have different opinions without having to collapse them into one way of seeing or one way of thinking. Like there's a lot of different aspects.
I think that's the like, we don't put our politics front and center in a way that we did when we first met, and we're like activists on the street being like, you should think the way that we think.
Yeah, we changed a bit.
I think our politics has kind of slid a little bit more into the foundations now, but when we do bring it to the surface, it's like, I'm scared about the way that it feels like societies, especially in the West, are polarizing, that people are really seeing any difference as a sign of mistrust and like accelerating the differences between us and really dehumanizing each other because it's like you vote for the wrong guy, or like that to me is really concerning. And that I want to live in a future where like we learn to coexist skillfully with people that have different faiths, that come from different cultures, that have these like very different value systems, because that is what the 21st century looks like. I don't want to live in a future where we're just these kind of like ethno-nationalists, let's just get all the same people into one space and then have strong boundaries and you can have a different kind of people over there. Like, I want us to be able to encounter each other across difference and see that as an exciting opportunity to learn and to exchange in a spirit of peace and mutual aid and care and so on. And we're prototyping that at the micro scale. I think one of the reasons we're around Barcelona, because you feel that, you know, like it's such an international place. And you also feel the conflict that comes with that. You know, it's not like an easy, it's not a straightforward relationship being an outsider coming to Catalonia. You know, it's not like the welcome is wholehearted, you know, it's complicated. And I think we're here to like engage with that openly and honestly.
Yeah. It's just chuckling a little bit internally because we're talking about, let's just get all our friends to move to our neighbor and we'll just have a neighborhood of our friends. It's like, well, that is condensing a little bit the diversity, but I guess that we're not just thinking it's just going to be our friends.
No,
it's just going to be people
it's not to have an exclusive boundary. Like, I think that's the thing, is like finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
between unity and diversity. That was kind of
Yeah.
naming at the start.
Yeah.
Like
And
you need
being
some
local
people,
as
you need
well.
some people around that are reflecting your values back at you.
Yeah.
But you also need to be able to get along with the guy next door who like has a obviously very different value system.
That is cutting the lawn right now with their machines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about this forest that we're in the late 80s. This 15,000 hectares of private land was handed over as a commons, as a like, this is for the public to enjoy. And
It was a whole process, right? Like
There's a
the
massive
people, the
process.
local people went through a process to that.
And that process involves like environmentalists and activists and some of the most wealthy people in the region and politicians and lawyers, and like to pull off that kind of coordination, which I think is like such an enormous benefit to everyone involved. Like that it's so good for the animals and for the plants and for the wildlife and the nature, and it's so good for the people who live within distance of it and that they can come and spend time here. Like to pull off these like incredible, almost like superhuman feats of coordination, you need to be able to work with people that are really different. Like the environmentalist and the hunter needs to like shake hands and make a deal about how this is going to work. And that, to me, yeah, the skills involved in that work, that's what really compels me.
Yeah. Okay, how do we wrap this up? We're going places. I think caffeine is really kicking.
Because we talked a lot about challenges, okay? But what have been the highlights so far? What have been the rewards and the good points? Because, I mean, you've got a view.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the distant future, but you've got like the things that you would like to see in the future, and so you're taking actions to bring people, because 2 people can make a difference, but you need more, so you're bringing everyone together and working on these things. But when you're faced with the financial challenge and the physical challenges and the energetic challenges, what are the good points that make you keep going?
That's a good question. What have been the highlights so far for you, Richard?
A couple of things immediately come to mind. Like on the more professional side of things, getting a team, you described, you know, these teams that we work with, they're usually remote teams. One of the things that is not so well discussed about remote work is like how much conflict that comes with, how much mistrust that seeds. Like we're mammals. Like we get along well, not just through talking and through writing messages on the computer, but by being face to face and to have physical contact and to share a meal and to go for a walk. Like that stuff it's essential to how we work skillfully as groups, is like to have face to face time. And so it's very gratifying for me when we have a team come that is obviously in a state of dysfunction, like huge amount of mistrust and conflict and like hidden agendas and so on. And that we can, over the course of a few days, get people to relax into the space and feel safe and to open up and to be honest with each other and have some good communication and have some of those like those good fights where everyone wins, you know, where you actually get to have a bit of the like, get it out of your system and let's look at the reality together honestly and make some new agreements. And that they show up as a mess and they leave on the same page and happy and like excited about each other and excited about the work. Like I love that. That feels awesome. That's really compelling for me. It gives me a lot of energy. That's the professional stuff that I love the most, I think. Just helping those organizations, because the groups that we work with are always doing very positive things in the world. It's a lot of NGOs and like social enterprises and teams they've got a very compelling mission, and they just have a bit of misalignment and mess, and we help them sort that out. And then on the more personal side, it's some of it is just what should be just commonplace. You know, like when we have the table under the tree with 10 people sharing a dinner, I always feel like, this is the good life. Or the other week we had a group here, and it just happened somehow on the Saturday morning that there was like you and a bunch of the girls over here cutting hair, and the boys over there on the other side of the patio cutting hair, and
But
smoking, we were smoking
to
cigarettes and listening to heavy metal.
and lifting weights.
And
as
lifting
well.
weights, yeah. It's this like hilarious kind of barbershop over the other end of the room. And just that kind of experience of coexistence and people getting along, I love. And then there's something else that happens in the co-living, which is not just having a nice time, but is actually, I think, you know, I don't want to be too grandiose, but I think it's healing. Like that a lot of people we know are suffering under isolation. Like they just don't have the the number and the quality of relationships that they need. And when they get to drop into a group here that's like fun and collaborative and energized and safe and works well, you see these like the penny drop, and someone will actually get an experience of like major relief and get to shake off something that's been holding them back for a long time. And you see people like just come out energized and charged up. Like that's very satisfying as well.
Yeah. We do have a lot of people in our networks that are testing and this kind of new therapeutic modalities that are out there. A lot of us are working with things like IFS and alethea and psychedelics, and there's a lot of different modalities and a lot of people that come here that are practicing them, and we're helping each other through those things as well.
Yeah, it's
That is quite rewarding.
It's kind of avant-garde of personal development, maybe, that's meeting here.
Yeah. I was going to share like a story, a highlight for me. Last year, I think it was October, end of October, we had Inspiral, that is our network. The network gathering was here. And we had a bunch of people. We were sitting under this tree having a session around the apocalypse. Like it was a doom session, right? Usually there's not many of them, but there was one, and talking about we're all worried and what do we do about it? A mixture of apocalyptic prepper thing with some optimism dropped into there. And I was sitting here through the conversation, and over at the end of the patio where there's that balcony, there was a friend writing. She was journaling. And then someone arrived that is our neighbor, that is also part of the network, with their kid, and arrived for the day. And then there was someone else's dog, that is our friend Lucille, that lives in France, that is also part of it, and she also holds a space like this. And our other friend that is Brazilian and lives in Madrid was playing with the dog. And that encounter and all of those things happening in the patio, for me was like, this is what this is about. It's the meeting of all these different people and all these different things happening together. And we're here for a reason. Right? It's not just random. We're connecting because we all care about something. I have that picture engraved in my brain. It's like, that's what I want. With more of that.
Yeah, the baby and the dog.
The baby and the dog and the journaling, the doom and the optimism and the, all these different nationalities all together. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So then the like big picture question: what's next? Or like, what's the focus, and then where does that go?
So I always think in terms of the calendar, what's next, So like the next few months we're just booked with events, this mixture that Nati described of like trainings run by other people, team retreats that we're hosting, some co-living activities, some community gatherings, like all of that's happening for the next few months. And then I'm really excited at the moment about what you described for the winter time.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking about as like prototyping season. That, mostly it's co-living, mostly you're doing your own thing, but that we have this little focus every day where someone gets to bring a practice, or they bring something that is like a workshop that's not fully ready for the public yet, but I want to try this idea on a friendly audience and get feedback. I'm really excited about that. Like I want to see, I think in a slightly longer term, it's about us transmitting something what we know about hosting and facilitating and running events that are meaningful and profound.
Yeah.
Transmitting that to the people in our network and helping them develop the courage to host their own things. And helping just take care of all the operations and the finances and the cooking and the cleaning, and like showing how to make that lightweight and easy, and building up our network of collaborators and partners that can host really powerful events. You mentioned Mariah. I think her retreat that she hosted here last April was one of the most potent things that's happened here. Like, had a lot of big breakthroughs for a lot of people, and it was big for her.
There's another one happening in November for those listening.
Yeah. So like really helping people step up and into their role as community hosts and community leaders. I think that
with our support,
that gives me a lot of energy.
Yeah. And I guess the next then is the iteration, right? It's the iteration for next year of what are the things that are going to happen here, how are we going to be running those things, and starting to look into where is the next Casa Tilo. Right? We're going to have to plant a Tilo tree wherever we move, but it's going to happen because this one is not going to travel with us. But yeah, where is the next property? Can we afford to buy something? is there a place where our friends can move around, or whomever is interested in the things that we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's part of the story, right? Like I
Yeah.
mentioned how we did the fundraising at the start to get the startup capital. When we come to buying a place, ideally, and we don't know if this is realistic yet, but ideally I'd like to not have to involve a bank in that process, and to be able to pull the fundraising off by an act of generosity from our community. Like,
Or loans. I mean, not just,
Yeah.
not just buying it, but community loans. Like, can we also look into what is a different financial model for this kind of project?
yeah. And as soon as we have confidence ourselves that the business model and the lifestyle makes sense, then I think, yeah, I've got a lot of confidence that we can go out and
Yeah.
find other people that want to support this in a big way.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, what's next? I want to support lots of people to start lots of these things. Like, 'cause my brain always jumps ahead to
The systemic.
that's the systemic eventually. Like, I still want to have the engineering solution. I still want to be able to go back to the mayor of Seoul and say, hey, we figured it out. This is how we get along.
Imagine.
I don't know how old I'll be at that stage.
I guess I would like to wrap up to say we are connected with a bunch of other spaces and venues that are trying to do the same. And we just had a gathering recently here where 11 of these different spaces came here, and we all shared our challenges and our highlights and our processes and the simple things that we do to be able to do this work. And yeah, I'm excited to keep connecting with others. And if people want to hear more about other spaces, there's a blog on our social media
Yeah, it's on my Substack.
and on the Substack, and soon on the website, where they can read more about others as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we wrap it up? We'll wrap it up.
Come visit.
Come visit.
Get in touch. Drop us a
Thanks
line.
for listening.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.